What up, sports fans? Welcome back to the show once again. It's your boy Emilio Wackball, and I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for joining me here tonight on this special edition of the Emilio Wackball Show. We talking sports here tonight, and once again, I got the host of the Gold School Retro NBA Show. I got Ariel De Jesus here in the house once again, rocking out with me, folks. And before we get started, be sure to follow me on Twitter at the Emilio Wackball. You can hit us up on IG at EJP_entertainment to stay up to date with everything related to EJP Entertainment. And with that said, Ariel, what's good, man? How's everything?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How y'all doing, man? I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Creating a lot of content. You guys don't know me. I read Old School Retro NBA. I do an old school podcast where I tribute role players, star players, and basically anybody that plays 70s, 60s, 80s, 90s, even 2000s, college teams as well. So just stay tuned. I got an Isaiah Ryder tribute coming out tomorrow afternoon. So tap in on that.
Isaiah Ryder, that's what's up, man. And want to take my hat off to you, man, and say, good work on the recent content that you did in regards to Malik Sealy and Bobby Fields. I've been seeing that you've been getting a lot of good, press behind that one with everybody that's been checking it out, man. You did a terrific job with that one and all that good stuff. And I also see that you've been featured on another podcast as well that's coming up, man. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, I was recently hit up in the DMs with Sean Rodriguez, and he basically does the dime. He used to work for Uninterrupted with ESPN. He asked me to come on his show, and because he's been listening to all the mixtapes I be having, how I be going at it with people on Twitter, and he wanted me to represent the fan base on there with the Twitter stuff that goes on between the positive and negative side of Twitter, and just to bring rationale to the room. So he said that's why he had me on there. I was honored by it because I watched his content for a very long time. Mm-hmm. I followed him when he was on it. So when he used to produce for Uninterrupted. He wasn't actually on a host, but he was behind the scenes, with editing and basically creating the content behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. So he was in charge of that, and for him to have me on there was an honor because it was just test of people seeing the knowledge that I have and things that I bring to the table as far as creating content, talking on just basketball in general and bringing rational to the room. So I was honored by that. It should be dropping either at the end of the week or next week, that episode. So stay tuned on that.
That's what's up, man. I'm glad to hear that one. We're looking forward to it, man. So definitely let us know when that episode gets released. We'll love to check it out, man. But with that being said, here tonight, man, we got some news and some topics that we're going to cover as well. As everybody know, the FIBA World Basketball, Cup has started and everything, that has gotten underway. And then we also got some Knicks news and highlights that we're going to talk about as well. And the biggest thing that we've been seeing right now with the Knicks verse has been the whole situation with Josh Hart signing that contract extension for 4 years, $81 million, man. So what's your thoughts on that?
I think it's good, man. I think we actually it's showcasing talent, obviously, with Jalen Brunson, and we got Josh Hart there, and you see them in practice. You see starting over Halliburton. I think this is going to be a wonderful experience for him. They're both of them playing together, more chemistry, and I'm just loving that we're actually represented like that because we haven't had a point guard represent us in a long time, man. So I definitely love that.
Yeah, man, I like that as well, man. So it's good to see, some of our guys, on the World League and everything like that, representing Team USA. And I know a lot of Knicks fans out there has mixed feelings and emotions about that whole ordeal. So, I'm happy for the guys, man. I want to see them represent, man. I definitely am happy for, RJ Barrett. I see he did pretty good today, with his run with Canada here today, scoring 12 points, went 5 from 10 from the field, and, 2 for 4 from the 3-point land. So, how you feel about that whole situation?
Yeah, I'm proud of RJ. Obviously, you guys know I've been an RJ believer since day one, and he got off to a pretty slow start. So a lot of people will get on that, saying that that's basically been his whole Knicks tenure is getting off to slow starts. But you finish strong, which matters the most. It's not how you start; it's how you finish. I always have that mentality in sports and just life in general, because it doesn't always matter how you begin anything; it's how you end it. And he ended off strong, just like how in the season head was up and down. But he stepped up for the most part in the playoffs, and ultimately, man, that's why I still believe in this guy. He's only 22 years old, and I think he can reach star potential, man. And this year is going to be very crucial for that.
I believe so too, and it's good to see. Like you said, he picking up where he left off in the playoffs. And then a lot of people out there, they still, they have the verdict out on RJ because a lot of people feel as though that RJ still isn't going to, take that next step forward. But as we discussed here before on this platform, I really do believe that this year he was going to take a step in the right direction. Now, what we've seen from Team USA, and the whole thing that's going on right now with Team Canada, we didn't see a whole lot because from what I'm understanding, he didn't finish the second half of the game. He played midway through the third quarter. Then all of the starters were pulled, and they ended up falling 86-81 to Team Germany. But from what I've seen, some of the basic highlights that I got a chance to take a look at here today, I'm pretty excited about what he's going to bring to the table. I think he's going to take that next step. I think he's starting to finally find his footing, his groove when it comes to, what he's going to do on the basketball court. The only thing is, we still want to see some improvement on the defensive end of the ball. But I think that's going to change also. You got Josh Hart that's locked in now for the next 4 years. You also have Dante DiVincenzo, he's locked in as well. So I think things are going to change defensively. It's going to give him a little more flexibility on the defensive end of the floor. What you think?
I think so too, man. I think like I said, it's only going to up his game, man. People like to, like we had this conversation on the side a lot of times where people talk about like, he's still slow. What I'm saying? He's unathletic. But listen, man, there's a lot of finesse guys if you look around the league, man. There's a lot of guys that are really unathletic, but still all serious talented. And if you look at the Devin Bookers of the world, they're not the most crazy athletic, but they're still efficient. Even, Jokic, you got Luka Doncic, who's not very athletic, but he's still efficient. And ultimately, man, I think this year is going to be very pivotal for the development of RJ Barrett, and I think he takes that lead along with Quentin Grimes as well. I just feel like this team chemistry is going to be off the chain because it's another year, especially after the year that we just had, the past year that we just had where nobody had us there. And I just think this team is going to be in an upward trajectory. I think the camaraderie goes a long way.
I believe so too, and I really do think that RJ is going to take that next step forward. And the funny thing about that is, when you got a lot of people out there that keep complaining about RJ's non-athleticism and the fact that he moves stiff when he's moving with the ball. But I'm like, you look at players like you just mentioned, like Luka Doncic, for example. He's also not overly athletic. Then you got Joel Embiid, like you just mentioned as well. Then you got some other players throughout the league. Athleticism is good to have, but in most cases, I think people overvalue athleticism when it comes down to it. The effectiveness is what matters the most, getting the job done. And it doesn't matter if you move at a snail's pace. It doesn't matter if you're leaping out the gym, jumping over people like, Vince Carter in his prime or whatever. It's just about whether or not you can string together those plays that are winning basketball plays and help get the overall goal, which is to win the game and to get into the playoffs. What you think?
I think so too, man. I think that's a very good point by you. I think that it goes to show you, like, in the long run, man. They get in there, and like I said, he's still 22, and you can't really like put a window or a cap on someone at 22 years old. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have numerous people that are scouts. I talked to a few of them, and a lot of them say the same thing. They're like, that RJ Barrett's ceiling is not closed like some Knicks fans make him seem to be. And I just feel like, he's going to get better. I feel like I played a part, like in the previous episode, we kind of touched on it with, essentially he's coming into a contract year. And I feel like it's kind of like with Julius Randle, where, that contract's in your head and you feel like you got to overdo things. And sometimes I feel like he was pressing a lot last year and trying too hard when the shot wasn't falling or, doing other things that you could tell he was kind of pressing and forcing his game. I think this year you're going to find a more relaxed RJ. He's going to let the game come to him, and he's going to get a lot better. I just think that we're going to see a better version of RJ this year.
I totally agree. And then, you looking also, with the Knicks, the outline of the Knicks right now. You got Julius Randle rehabbing his ankle. I feel as though that Julius Randle is going to have another strong season. I seen where, somebody saying like, Julius Randle often doesn't play too well in the even years. But I really do think that Julius Randle is going to do pretty good this year. I think, a lot of people are still overreacting to his playoff performance this past playoff against, Cleveland and Miami. And you and I, we both know he was really hurt, you know what I'm saying? And like, if you have an ankle injury, it's not always easy to recover, at a short period of time. Like he was trying to recover coming back from an ankle injury. It's going to limit your mobility. It's going to limit a lot of things that you can do on the basketball court. So I really think that he's primed to come back and really prove all the doubters and naysayers wrong. And then also we got Jalen Brunson coming back. As we seen, he got nominated as the leader of Team USA, which is also a good look for him. I think his profile and also his status as a basketball player is going to go up. I really think that we're going to see either an all-star or an all-NBA season coming from Jalen Brunson this year if he keeps up the level of productivity that he has been showing here as of late. Then, we also got the other glue guys on the team. We got Quentin Grimes. He's looking pretty good right now with his workouts. We got, Emmanuel Quickly. He's a gym rat. He's out there, working hard to improve his game. But a lot of people are really speculating and feeling that he may potentially be the odd man out coming up in a trade for like maybe the prized wing or the superstar that everybody is looking for or coveted so much. What you think about that?
I think so too, man. I think it just looks like it's a good problem to have. I think we have a lot of we're pretty much. I know a lot of people like to complain that we're kind of guard heavy team, but like I said, man, the competition only brings the best out of you, bro. And I've seen numerous teams of the past, including the Knicks, and a lot of them said, man, they was busting each other up in practice and everybody going to war with each other, making each other better. And I feel like ultimately with this team, that's what's going to help us in the long run, having a lot of players competing against each other. And for the most part, everybody on the team, especially what I've seen, is everybody, kind of rocks with each other, and they feel like the camaraderie is just there. And I just think that it's going to be really good coming into another year with full chemistry with us, especially with JB, Randall, everybody pretty much healthy now. And I feel like, if all that could stay intact, especially between Julius and JB and Barrett, if they could stay healthy, and especially going in towards the playoffs, I think this team could make a lot of rumbles, probably more rumbles than they did last year. I got them at 54 wins and Eastern Conference Finals this year. Mm-hmm. I'm probably going to be in the minority of that, but I think that could actually happen, man. Mm-hmm. The East is open and more than people think it is.
Yeah. I think that's a good number right there in the projection as far as the win totals are concerned. I really do see the Knicks being a 50-win team. 54, I feel as though they can reach that level if they all, make the right plays at the right time when it comes down to it and beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. That's one of the biggest things that I said last year when it comes down to it. It's going to come down to the Knicks being able to take care of business and win those games that they're supposed to, win. And then, maybe if we can get, some wins against some of the top teams in the East and also in the West, I think we're a pretty good position going into this season, going into the postseason as well. So, people fail to realize, the Knicks was only, a bad play away from being in the 7th game against Miami and could have potentially won that game, if everybody was hitting their shots like they were supposed to and everything like that. But, I really don't think that it's a stretch to see the Knicks end up in the Eastern Conference Championship this year.
Listen, I totally agree, man. Like I said, man, just you got to look at it this way. We got better on the bench, by adding Dante. And I just feel like, everything is just, the front office is showing with the direction that they're moving in, where they want to make smart value contracts, trades, stuff like that. We already got 2 stars. And people got to realize that it can't just one linear way to building a championship contender. You could take a page out of the Detroit Pistons playbook, where you got essentially a couple of stars on your team already as it is. You got one All-NBA and another one that's in that his ceiling is still not capped yet. You got another 22-year-old who can still reach star potential himself. Mm-hmm. And then you got a bunch of good role players and solid guys that defend well, that shoot the ball well, guys that push the tempo, like Josh Hart, one of the most elite finishers when it comes to pushing the pace and finishing at the rim, and it's one of the best corner 3-point shooters, and I feel like, we got better. We didn't get worse. I know a lot of people were tripping off the OB trade, but we got better since moving in and helped them see maybe if he got something left in the tank in Indiana. And it wasn't a fit for us, so I feel like we got better. And I just think that we're in a prime position to exceed expectations once again. Even though some people don't really see the vision, I see it. because, like I said, I've been a fan of this team since '93, and these are the most fun years I had last year in 24 years. And I'm talking about better than the Mike Woodson era when we lost to Indiana with the Roy Hibbert block that still haunts me to this day. But we're in a better position because that team is a little bit aged, older. We finally have some young talent. We got a mix of good prime age talent, good young talent, and we just got people that can actually keep continuing to get better and building as a team. Because a lot of people got to remember, and we touched on this before, when you bring in a new piece, sometimes that piece don't mesh. When you look at the guys that they're bringing in, they already played with each other. They already have that chemistry, so you already got the check mark off of that between Hart, DiVincenzo, and Brunson. And remember, these are winners on all levels: college, high school, NBA. With DiVincenzo, who won a title with Milwaukee. Unfortunately, he got hurt at the wrong time in the playoffs, but he was doing, especially the holiday. A lot of people forget that. And he got minutes last year with the Warriors, and he shot the 3-point percentage well. He's another guy that you can put him at the 2 or the 1. He can run point. He can play shooting guard. He could do a mix of things, and he could defend well. A lot of people forget about that too. That he gets in the passing lane. He's got a wingspan. He's an off-ball pass. A lot of things that people don't talk about. So I think that it's a good look for the Knicks, man, this year. That they're in the right way.
I agree. And, a lot of people out there, they're complaining. There's been a lot of mixed emotions in regards to the contract that he was just extended, which is, like I said, 4 years, $81 million. And, you made a good point to me before we got started in saying that, it was pretty much a bargain contract. So the people out there that's overreacting to the fact that he got paid his money, I'm like, you guys need to just chill, because it's looking a lot better than what it is. And then we also factor into the whole equation chemistry. Some guys, these guys have played together before, so they're going to be able to come in and they're going to be able to fit right in with the system. And then on top of that, when you add new pieces, when you add new players, sometimes it takes until about like mid-season, after the All-Star break, for you to get a real good feel and get used and accustomed to the way this guy plays. So we are in a pretty good position, man. Not too many changes have been made throughout the team. Obi, I know a lot of people is going to be a little bit sour about that one until the whole season gets underway, and then they see how he performs out in Indiana or whatever, or see how the team performs. But I really do think that the Knicks are in a good position going forward.
I agree, man. It's just it's not popular, the contrary belief that you have to have add another star to put us over the hump. Like I said, man, you gotta crawl before you walk. And I feel like they're in a good position. They have a lot of good young talent. They have a lot of good players, good 2-star players already. And I just feel like we're going in an upward trajectory, man. I just don't think that anything is when the sky is falling down like some people try to make it seem, because it's really not. It's we're in a good position, and like I said, man, sometimes it kills me sometimes with especially with next Twitter, is that they would rather think the grass is greener on the other side instead of trying to take care of their own grass. You got to cut your own grass before you worry about the grass from other people's homes, because we have star talent right in front of our face and we don't cherish it. You still got people that want Halliburton, that still cry about not drafting Halliburton. But meanwhile, we have a Jalen Brunson who is much better, improving on all levels, all facets of the game, especially at the NBA level. We just seen that man take Luka Doncic-less Dallas Maverick team almost to an NBA Finals with that roster that he had, which wasn't the greatest roster ever. So that should tell you something. Not to mention what he did in year 1 for the Knicks, almost taking them, like you said, one bad possession away, and we're going to Game 7. Possibly Eastern Conference Finals, and that's saying something right there. I'm not saying he's the only reason, but he definitely was a big part of it.
I truly agree with that one. And I just think, a lot of the overreactions right now that we're still seeing as far as, Knicks Twitter is concerned, as far as, most of the Knicks fans, in this space, I really do think that a lot of them just need to just take a step back. Like, we are more of a stable franchise than what we've been in the last few years. And I think once people get the understanding that this team has a better footing and a better, a more steadier hand in terms of the decision making and not getting fleeced like how we used to and a bunch of trades and stuff like that, I think people will finally start to understand that the team is going in a good direction. Like, I don't understand what is the whole, lust about having a star player? Like you said, we already have our own stars on this team, and we need to be content with that. Like, get behind the guys that we have and support them, because at the end of the day, these guys go out here every night and they play hard, 48 minutes. It wasn't always pretty last season, but when it boiled down to it, it was some of the most exciting basketball that we've seen from a New York Knicks team in a long time. So I'm feeling good about where we at right now in terms of the preseason and going into the regular season in about a couple of months.
No, I basically have to say sentiments because, I see the whole thing going on when people are mad at the Josh Hart deal as well. And people saw what kills me is that you got Knicks fans. You got Knicks fans that sit here and would not cherish the guy that pretty much that trade actually made it. They'll cry about the pick, but that trade actually put us in a good position to basically help us get to where we were, because essentially the bench was struggling at one point, and people forget where we were before we traded for Josh Hart, and we basically went on a tear after that. And he was another reason because of it, because of what he brings to the table, the rebounding, the pushing the pace, and getting other guys involved, being at the right spot, having a knack for the ball, diving for loose balls, things that we didn't have before he got here. So you look at all these teams that are contending, and trust me, if the Knicks weren't going to pay him, they'd be another contender that'd be right there at the door waiting for him, that willing to give him that money, because that's the price you pay for Josh Hart. We saw what the market was for Bruce Brown. And you got guys like Dylan Brooks who are getting paid, and Josh Hart's a lot better, And I don't see people making that an issue. Like I said, the market is different now, and that's what you got to pay for these type of players. And you need that on a winning team. And you can't let a guy like that walk, especially somebody that took a less of a deal to help you get in another piece to help your bench, which is Dante. So I want team first guys, and he fits that bill.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more with you with that point right there. So before we get ready to wrap things up, man, like, what is your outlook going into the regular season? Like, who are you keeping your eye on other than the Knicks? Oh, man, come on.
Another team I would look at outside the Knicks? Good question. I feel like the Orlando Magic could be a quiet, sneaky, good team. I have them because they got a plethora of good young talent. I think, Paulo is amazing. I think Franz Wagner is a phenomenal player. And I think they got a good young core over there. I got them actually sliding out of that playing spot and actually making the playoffs. So I think that's a team that to look out for, the Orlando Magic. I'm going to keep an eye on them.
Yeah, I agree. That was one of my teams to watch going into the regular season. I also feel as though, contrary to what most people may believe, I feel as though the Washington Wizards are in a good position going forward. I think that, you got a player in Jordan Poole that has a chip on his shoulder, and he feel like he's going to have something to prove after the way his whole tenure in Golden State ended. And then also now they're giving the keys to Kyle Kuzma, so now this is actually his team. He's getting a chance to prove that he could be that number one guy. So I really think that the Wizards are going to be another team that we can watch out for. I think, like you said, the Orlando Magic, just what they've been putting together as far as Paulo Banchero and then Franz Wagner and all the other guys that they got down there that they've been drafting as well. They're a lengthy, young team. They can get out in transition, and also I think their length is going to bother a lot of teams as well. Then also I got to go with OKC as my other team, that I'm looking for this year to see what they're going to do. They got Chet Holmgren coming back. They had a pretty good season last year, with Josh Giddey, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and then, just the other guys that they got, Jalen Williams and all these other guys that are in that fold, on that team. I think they're going to be another team out west that's going to make some noise. And then my last team that I'm also looking at right now is, surprisingly or not, the Phoenix Suns. And the reason why I'm looking at the Phoenix Suns is because looking at all the moves that they made this offseason, getting KD last year, giving up damn near, all of their draft assets for the next, 5-6 years. Then, Devin Booker not being able to stay healthy, KD not being able to stay healthy. And then on top of that, they acquired Bradley Beal, who's another player who's had his own injury history as well. So I'm thinking the Phoenix Suns is going to be another team that are going to be watching out for again this year.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. As far as like the Phoenix Suns aspect, but I don't ultimately have them winning the title,
Nah.
and I think that's what I think you make those moves to win a title. It wouldn't surprise a lot of people if they make it, like to the NBA Finals. But ultimately, I don't have them winning because there's a lot. There is a lot of question marks, more so with injury concerns with Phoenix. Because if one of those guys goes down, it's going to look like a massive failure. And then now you got to start thinking about, is Devin Booker eventually going to start seeing that window close and then kind of ask out? Because I know he wants to win a title. And he's in his prime years, and he's still got a lot of talent. And I know he's going to want to win something and not just be stuck in constantly failing. So that's definitely a situation to look out for.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna be paying attention to that Phoenix situation, man. That's gonna be more intriguing to me, more so than the Lakers. Like, I don't know if the Nuggets will be a lock to repeat out in the West, but I really do like their chances as well. They haven't really changed much, other than getting rid of Bruce Brown and then moving on from Bones Highland. They really haven't changed much. They still keep the core of that team intact going back into this next season coming again. I really do feel like possibly Nikola Jokic, he could probably get another MVP award this year if it's not a whole color issue that comes down to it once again. And I'm gonna put that on record because we all know that the reason why Joel Embiid won that MVP last year, it was because of the whole race issue that was involved in that situation. But I think if he puts up another stellar year like he did, I think the Nuggets will be back in the conversation.
Yeah, I got them actually, the team going back to the finals, and I think there's a good chance. Even though they lost Bruce Brown, I think there's a good chance that they actually have a really good chance to repeat. They have a lot of firepower. They've been, like I said, the camaraderie, and I'm a guy that believes in like that team chemistry goes a long way. The more you keep playing with each other, the more you guys get familiar, the better it is, man. So I think Denver is going to be that team.
I agree. And also, a lot of people may be sleeping right now on Milwaukee because, the whole situation with, their offseason and, a lot of disgruntledness they've been saying about, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I really do think that the fact that they kept this team together, they kept their core players intact. I really do think that, Milwaukee is going to be back in the conversation as well coming out of the East. Now, a team that I'm not really too high on and not really sold on right now is the Boston Celtics. I know a lot of people out there is, feeling because they acquired Kristaps Porzingis and traded Marcus Smart that they've gotten perceivably better. But I don't think so. When it still comes down to it, basketball nowadays is still a perimeter game. And, you get rid of one guy that was at one point the defensive player of the year to trade for an injury-prone player in Kristaps Porzingis. I think they're going to struggle a little bit this year on the perimeter when it comes to guarding some of those faster, guards in the league, in the East especially.
Yo, Emilio, I agree with you on that. And I don't know if you saw the report. He's not playing for his team this year because he's already got foot issues. And they're already talking about that. The Celtics comment that they're not going to say anything until they run some further tests. But it's already red flags with Kristaps because, like I always said, man, the guy it's never been a question of more so his talent. I mean, we do know that the talent with Kristaps is there, but you got to realize too, his body frame and his injury history is always going to be a red flag. I know he had a renaissance year last year, but ultimately, that's what it boils down to: is that can he stay healthy? And the thing is, he just can't. And I think the Celtics, I don't think they made. A lot of Knicks fans were coming at me that the Celtics got better than the Knicks. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't think that moving up for Marcus Smart was a smart move. I think there's no disrespect to Tyus Jones, because I actually had Tyus Jones on the Knicks radar if we couldn't get Jalen Brunson last year. But I think Tyus Jones could be a good starting caliber point guard. He was stuck behind John Morant. But I don't think that that move actually makes them better, and I think it actually made them worse because I know they needed a stretch five stability that Kristaps brings, but if he goes down and he's out for a period of time and this becomes a lingering issue, that's going to look massively bad on Boston's front office and that they gambled with that, and then I don't think that they it's going to be a good look for Boston at all, man. I got them taking a dip actually.
Yeah. I do too. It's
and the Bucks. And one thing about the Bucks too. I'm sorry. One more thing that I know you're talking about the Bucks. I was going to say something on that. I'm sorry about that.
That's cool.
One thing I'll say about the Bucks is that Middleton it's going to be a big question. Can Middleton return to what he was? Because last year he looked a shell of himself, and I think that's very key for the Milwaukee Bucks moving forward if they want to be title contenders. And Drew Holiday looks like he lost a little bit of his step himself, and they got some question marks in Milwaukee too. But ultimately, I got them coming out of the East still, even with all those issues.
I think, Milwaukee at best is going to probably be like a third seed this year. Now, I'm not, overlooking them, not by a long shot. But I think, I don't know. Like, I kind of look at these other teams, Milwaukee probably has gotten a step slower. Like you said, the whole Chris Middleton situation, whether or not he can stay healthy, that's going to be the biggest question going into the season. They got Brooks Lopez back. They just brought back, Robin Lopez as well. So that's going to be a solid 1-2 punch, given that they're both brothers and they both practically play the same position. But Robin Lopez, this time here in New York, it showed that he's a capable backup center, and I think that's going to be a good look for them as well. But my thing is also, with these guys, being that they've been together for a long time, and then given some of the injury history, Giannis Antetokounmpo, he suffered an injury in the playoffs last year, and then you got Chris Middleton coming back this year, after coming back from an injury as well. The question is going to be whether or not they're going to stay healthy throughout the whole entire season this year as well. So I see them probably at best being the number 2 team in the East. I don't really see them falling no further than that, but who knows? Miami, they was the number 1 seed a few years ago, and then look what they fell to last year as the 8th seed. So anything's possible.
No, definitely, and that's why I got the mentality that from what I've seen is that there's a lot of teams that regressed a little bit, especially in the East. You just touched on Boston, and Miami's another one too, where they lost 2 of their guys that were a part of their spacing and what they did last year. And I don't see them as repeating what they did this year, even though they have been there a lot. I think they just took a little step back as well. And trust me, it's not going to be an easy walk in the park for the Knicks to reach the Eastern Conference Finals. But I just think that we upgraded and we got another year under our belts, and I think it's a lot more closer. We're a lot more closer than most people think, and I think we're taking the right steps. And I think the East is open, and I'm going to stick to that.
I think so too, man. And a lot of people need to understand and walk away with this key word right here, continuity. When it comes down to it, continuity is going to be a big thing, because you got a lot of people out there that's going to have to, get acclimated to new pieces on their roster and getting comfortable with playing with these new guys, like the point we made earlier. And when it comes down to it, I think that once the season starts, I think the Knicks has got the fast track on getting off to a pretty good start, given the fact that this team has been together for a year, and now they coming back. They got a better feel and understanding of how to play with one another.
No, that's definitely a good point, man, because like I said, man, team camaraderie and team chemistry goes a long way, man. If you look at all these teams that won titles, they didn't win by just drafting, and that's it. They won a title. It's a mix of hitting the luck a little bit in the draft, whether it's late in the first round, top 10, because it doesn't matter really where you pick nowadays. You can find a gem at 29, even in the 30s sometimes. You see what happened with Nikola Jokic. He was found in the late rounds. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. There's many other guys throughout the history that have turned out to be superstars and weren't drafted in the top 10. And I've really never been a person that's the only way to win. I mean, you can actually do it with a mix of free agent, signing luck into a star like the Knicks did with Jalen Brunson. And, you got 2 stars already. You got a third young talent and 22-year-old RJ Barrett. You got a really good bench. Actually, probably one of the best benches in the East, because you think about the 3-headed defensive monster we got now. We got Quigley and Hart and Dante. Those are all high energy, good defenders, guys that can shoot a little bit of everything. Push the tempo. It's just, I don't know, man. The sky's the limit for this Knicks team. I'm really excited as a Knicks fan, contrary to belief than what you see on social media.
And let's also not forget about Deuce McBride. He's still, on the team as well. And I know there was a question that was asked a few days ago as to how the Knicks should utilize him in terms of giving him minutes. And I really do feel as though, we should use him pertaining to the matchup that we may have that night. If we need a quicker guard out there, a relentless defender, I think you go to Deuce McBride, especially against guys like, say, a Ja Morant or a guy like, any of these other faster guys like, De'Aaron Fox. I think this is the guy you go to, whenever you're not getting what you're looking for from, say, like a Quickly or a Josh Hart or Dante DiVincenzo at that time, and you need a good defensive stopper. I think Deuce McBride fits that bill.
Yeah, he does because like I said, he even just goes to show you how good the drafting has been with the Knicks because you've gotten a lot of key contributions. A lot of people forget about Deuce and Jericho Sims. Mm-hmm. And before he got hurt last year, towards the end of the year, that these guys were basically they all received some type of minutes, during key games and big games, all backed up when people got hurt. And I just feel like these guys, like I said, it's a testament to the 12-man roster is that you always got guys that can fill in case somebody's hurt or needs a rest or it's not 100%. It's a multitude of different things, and that's a good problem to have, man. It just shows that we're in a good position because we never really had these type of problems, and I'm not going to sit here and complain about them because they're good problems to have.
Absolutely. Now, the one question mark with, in terms of the depth for the Knicks going into the regular season this year is going to be the backup 4 spot. A lot of people speculate that maybe we'll see Josh Hart see some time at the 4 in the backup role. We may see, RJ play the backup 4 sometimes, and we may even see Jericho Sims get moved down to the 4. What do you think would be the best possible solution going into that? And I also got to remember, Nathan King as well. We just signed him to a contract not too long ago. So what do you think would be the solution to the backup 4 position now that we moved on from Obi?
There's many ways you could go about it. I mean, you just touched on it. You got the Syracuse kid that came from Minnesota who used to back up Karl Anthony Towns. And backup 4 and 5, Nathan Knight. That's another high energy guy.
Knight, okay.
Another guy Nathan Knight. And you got Isaiah Roby that are going to be competing for that 4 spot. But ultimately, if those don't pan out and you don't feel comfortable with giving them those 15 minutes that you're going to give out, honestly, you can mix it up. You can play a little bit of Josh Hart at the 4. Even if you want to explore RJ Barrett, like we just touched on, if you want to flirt with the Jericho Sims idea. There's many ways you can go about it. That's why I always said it comes back to this is a good problem to have because ultimately, they'll make the right decision. But those are the ways I will go about it.
Mm-hmm. Now, the one thing I know, I've been very vocal about the whole Trendon Watford situation. As we all know, he's now currently with the Brooklyn Nets and everything. I think that would have been a good role, but you made a good point as well when you were saying that maybe he wasn't going to get the minutes that he was looking for. Maybe he wasn't going to get the role that he was expecting to get here in New York. So, maybe, his situation being in Brooklyn is better off for him in terms of his career and the type of role that he's looking to play. But, like you said, Nathan Knight, he's a guy that I'm looking at. He's somebody that I've heard, a lot of good things about. I didn't really see a lot of him play last year, but I heard a lot of good things about him. And then I like still the prospect and the possibility of Jericho Sims being moved to the 4. I really think that his athleticism will translate as well, going and pairing up with Isaiah Hartenstein in the front court. So I think that's a pretty good, like you said, problem to have. And then on top of that, you got RJ still. If Tibbs finally decides that he wants to go with a small ball lineup, I think that you could possibly see, RJ play that 4 position, given that, he's strong, maybe a little bit shorter than Julius, but he's still pretty much, practically the same, body frame as a Julius Randle. So I can see that as a possibility happening, especially being that in the East, you don't have a whole lot of, overly big size, power forwards. I really do see that as a possibility. So we just have to, keep an eye out for that.
Oh, of course. Most definitely, man.
Yeah, man. So with that being said, man, I want to say thank you once again for joining me here tonight on the show. We do appreciate you, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to, rock out with us here on this special edition of the Emilio Ekbar Show. And before we get ready to get up out of here, is there any last things you want to say? Want to plug your show and your social media handles, and go ahead and do so.
Yeah, man, Emilio, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. I always love talking ball with you on and offline. Mm-hmm. And it's a pleasure you always bringing me on my show so you can hear my perspective. And I really appreciate that. But
No.
if you guys want to follow me, I'm on Twitter, Ari Ojemiel, AriOjosDeimiel on Twitter. And Go School Retro NBA is available officially on all platforms, Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. That's Go School Retro NBA. And I got a lot of good content coming out. Like I said, I got an Isaiah Ryder tribute coming out tomorrow. And then towards the end of the week, I got a Mark Price. I'm going to be doing underrated shooters, and I'm going to pay homage to Mark Price on Sunday as well.
Looking forward to it, man. And you, of course, ladies and gentlemen, you know, you can follow me on Twitter at the Emilio Wegbar. You can also get at us on IG at EJP_entertainment. And for those of y'all out there, you can check out this presentation. Will be available on YouTube at EJP Entertainment. Be sure to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay up to date when we are dropping brand new content for all of y'all out there to like and enjoy. And we will also be putting this up on my Twitter feed as well. So got some good content coming for y'all all out there, man. And we got some other things in store as well. So we want to thank you to each and every one of you for taking the time out to listen here tonight to the show. And with that being said, until the next one, y'all all be good out there, y'all. Peace.